Hello, welcome to West Ham Confidential on Revelator Alf. So it's the day after the night before. Yes, West Ham went down to the south coast to face off against Brighton, those pesky seagulls who crapped on us from a great height. Yes, our day out at the seaside was thoroughly marred by their endeavour and our inability to actually pull the ball in the back of the net, which is the object of the game, obviously. Now, so it really was it's a cliche, but it really was a game of two halves. The first half, Brighton had the better of it. They were industrious. They wanted the ball more. They were pressing hard, and the counter-attacking play was better. And you could see the goal coming. Whereas in the first half, West Ham were, playing very narrow, and they weren't having a lot of joy. Yes, they had a few opportunities on goal, but they didn't really amount to much. They had a funny 10 minutes where they kind of dominated the game, but overall it just wasn't working out for them. It wasn't working out in defence. Balwen and Diop weren't really working. Masuaku and Zabaleta weren't having the greatest of matches. Noble in the centre wasn't having a fantastic match either, but I think Obiang had the worst of the two actually. He was miscontrolling a few passes, and his distribution thereafter was a bit poor as well. Anderson and Yarmolenko both got to be criticised for this game. Certainly in the first half, they got a little bit better. Well, Anderson did in the second half. Yarmolenko got subbed in the second half, quite rightly so. But this is the problem with both of those two players, is that they were playing on the left and the right hand side of the three, but they weren't really playing inside, and they weren't playing out on the wings. They were kind of stuck in no man's land. And every time they got the ball, either on Yarmolenko on the right hand side or Anderson on the left, they'd always cut in onto their favoured foot. So the question I would ask now is, okay, well, you got Yarmolenko on the left, on the right, who always cuts in on the left, and teams know this now because he favours that left foot. So if that's the case, put him on the left. Change it up. Put him on the left. Anderson, he always cuts in from the left hand side, cuts into on the inside to his right foot, and goes with that. Well, then put him on the right. Okay, so we can actually exploit some width, get some width, stretch out the defence, and put some decent crosses in. Maybe an out of it, could have capitalised on that. It was just too jammed in there, too jammed, too packed with our players, too packed with their defence. Now, you could criticise them, say, oh, well, they were too defensive and then tactically stopped us playing. But that's the name of the game. Fair play to Brighton. They did a job on us. They stopped us playing. They wanted it more. They were pressing the ball a lot more than we were. And the impression is that certainly in the first half, a lot of our players were just strolling around. It was as if they just turned up to a game and it would assume that, okay, we're going to win this, we're going to beat Brighton. Now, I did say this, we cannot be complacent, and I did say that this will be a tough match, and it proved to be. Once they scored, yes, by that Glenn Money again, he seems to have over us all the time, doesn't he? West Ham came into a little bit more, certainly towards the end of the second half. I thought we could have got equaliser. That didn't quite happen. Then the second half started, and pretty much West Ham dominated. But you're chasing the game then. Again, Yarmolenko and Anderson still weren't doing great. Still weaknesses with Zabaleta and Masuaku a little bit. You can't really blame Masuaku in one hand because that's not his proper position. He's more of a left winger. However, you can blame him because his defensive qualities or deficiencies were really showing up in this game. Certainly for the goal, it was just he just let the guy run past him, and then he just stood idly by where the guy just got a free shot on goal. So many times he pushed just gone over too deep into the penalty area, left the whole left-hand side, or his left-hand side of the pitch completely free, and they had free run on to the pitch and to attack the penalty area. So, defensively he was very poor last night. I think Zabaleta was, he had a decent game in some respects, but he was just being overrun by them, and they got a lot of crosses, a lot of adventure on their counter-attacking play on the right hand side as well. So, Defensively, with Balbuena, Diop, it was just a bad day at the office for them. I think some times they did okay, and other times they made some glaring mistakes. Being pulled out of position, Balbuena being pulled out of position for Zabaleta, Diop as well, again being caught out as well. So, we looked like a team that, one, didn't turn up for the fight initially, then we tried to get going, but it just wasn't working out for us. So the second half, we were chasing the game. Now, I could dissect the whole second half again, but the negative is that we left it too little too late, and the opportunities that we did have, we just weren't clinical enough in front of goal. So we could have easily come away with 3-1, 3-2 victory there. I mean, actually they should have scored a second goal, so it could have been 4-2 to West Ham, but it wasn't. We lost 1-0. The positives are that they didn't completely capitulate. They didn't lose 3 or 4-0, like when they beat us 3-0 last season, and they were still, West Ham was still creating chances. We had 4 or 5 clear-cut chances, and Arnautovic, had a good couple. Balbuena first and the second, one in the first half, but the best one in the second half. Really should have put that one with a header just inside the 6-yard box. But the opportunities are there, and you could see a lot of the passing was really working well, and especially in the second half, pretty much dominated possession. However, it still came to the fact that a lot of the passing would break down, by one key element or one key player, and, it would just break down from there. Some of our set pieces were pretty woeful. I thought some of the free kicks weren't that great. The corners weren't decisive enough. They're a bit too flat. I thought you want to bring whip the ball in with pace, and, but if it's hitting the first man, if it's, being easily headed away, then you got to change the tactics. And I thought last night we were a little bit one-dimensional. We should have, looked at, okay, well, they're packing the midfield and packing the defence. Okay, we can't play through the middle because an Arnautovic isn't really working. We need to exploit the wings and bring stretch the game out. And it just wasn't happening. And that's why Yarmolenko, I think, who wasn't having a good game, really, let's face it, was subbed. Now, the thing is with Yarmolenko is that, when he's having a great game, and that is, he's being productive, and, you can see things are working out for him, you kind of accept this kind of plodding, teenager Kevin kind of, that kind of thing. But when it's not working out for him, the daggers are out for him already, and that's the problem. When it's not working out, we're very quick to get on the back of players and say, what they got, liven up a little bit. That's just his natural way. But it just wasn't good to watch. Anderson again, I wish he would just link up with Masuaku a lot more, and start exploiting the left hand side a lot more. Yeah, a couple of times he did it, but not a great deal. Masuaku was just getting pulled out of position all the time. He's a left back, and he was just going up front and just leaving the left back position completely exposed a lot of the time. So he really needs to concentrate on his positioning. And yes, when he is overlapping, then Anderson had to come back and defend as well. But there wasn't a lot of creative movement on that left-hand side. The right side was better in terms of interchange, working with play. Our best player, by far, was Rice again. He was the one who was sitting in the middle of the park. He was having to come back in the left-back role all the time. He was having to mop up a lot. And he's still putting in tackles and still trying to distribute, and almost like a Pirlo-esque type player, sitting in the middle, just receiving the ball, pass it on, so he looked really good in moments. And Arnautovic, well, he didn't have his best night. Yeah, you could see he was frustrated as well. He got booked for a challenge, which, actually the challenge was on him, not the other way around. Well, I think so. I think that's the way I saw it anyway. He missed a couple of, I wouldn't say sitters, but they were really good opportunities, to certainly equalise, and it could have even made it 2 or 3 really on the night. So it was frustrating because, West Ham could have or should have won that match. And but they didn't deserve to win it. I'm not saying they deserved to win it, but they should have won that match. The quality that they had over Brighton was clear to see. But as I said, you know, Brighton are a no-nonsense team, and they proved that in the first half. And that, you know, and they outfought us and outbattled us, and you know, they were more decisive and clinical, and they took their chances. You know, you don't score. I think Noble's even come out after the match and said, if you don't score, you're going to lose matches. Simple as that. You know, you're not going to win anything unless you actually score a goal, and that's it. You know, but the positive is that we are creating opportunities, goal scoring opportunities. We are creating. You know, those forward, you know, the passing is better, the forward movement is better. You know, on another day, you know, our forward trio would be a lot better. But big gripes, you know, with our subs. Snodgrass came on again. I'm not so much saying I'm a Snodgrass fan, but I am saying, you know, he's the one who comes on and is productive, and he was trying to do stuff. But Antonio and Perez, I'm sorry, are just not doing it for us. Antonio was just wayward passes, you know, not really controlling the ball, you know, crosses that were just going all over the place. Positioning, you know, he looked lethargic, he looked out of breath, you know, he's just come on. Perez, you know, unless he could have got an assist, one assist, you know, but his movement was all over the place and it just wasn't in the game. So, you know, I think if you're going to have these players come on as substitutes, as I've said, you know, they've got to step up now and they've got to play with extra urgency and extra endeavour, really, I think. But, you know, you can argue that at the closing minutes of the game when we had a free kick and Artovich, you know, rifled it over the bar, you know, actually we got a set piece specialist there in Snodgrass. He should have taken it. You know, so I think sometimes, you know, they're a little bit desperate, saying, oh, I want to claim this, I want to claim that. You know, I think actually you've got to do whatever's best for the team as opposed to what's best for your own personal ego. But anyway, look, we're all disappointed. I had a feeling it was going to be a tough match. I was still confident that we were going to win, but I wasn't confident we were going to dominate. I think we dominated the second half, not the first half. We were well below par. But do you know what? Another day, it could have been a different story. And, you know, you could argue that we would have won, but we may not have deserved to win. So, on to the next game. We've got Spurs. Yeah, difficult. We've got 2 games against Spurs, haven't we? One's in the league, one's in the cup. You know, that's going to be a tough game. But hopefully we can raise our spirits, raise our game, you know, now with the international break as well, to, you know, fight off the Spuds and keep them away from our door and, you know, send them back to North London with their tail between their legs. Right. Anyway, so that's enough from me for this week. West Ham Confidential. This has been the post-match blurb for West Ham. Well, Brighton against West Ham, where we lost 1-0. And, well, on the balance of it, we deserved to lose. But, you know, we could have easily made that a draw or even into a win if we had a better day and the players were on top form. Right. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.